Welcome back to the Mayhem Arena Devlog. In this video we will continue working on stuff that are needed for my deathmatch game mode. The first on my list is a minimap, so that the players can more easily navigate around. I watched the Brackies tutorial where they used a second camera for the minimap and decided to go with that approach. And it seems promising so far. Next, I'll add some markers on the map, because right now you can't really see where you or the enemies are very clearly. I did that by attaching the markers to the player characters and then removing them from the normal camera's culling mask so that only the minimap camera can see them. I also did the opposite to the minimap camera, where I removed the character models so they don't interfere with the markers. Finally, I decided to also add a death and kill marker to add more purpose to the minimap. I also added a border to it to give it more of a finished look, and voila, we have a minimap. Though I thought it looked good, it didn't feel quite right when I used the camera rotation, and often I felt disoriented. My solution to that problem was to simply rotate the minimap with the camera so that it always faces the right way up. Having done the minimap, I also decided to make a full-scale map that can be toggled on and off so that the new players can see the whole map and get a better idea of where they want to go. Initially I was going to make it the same way I made the minimap, but since this one is a lot bigger, it didn't look very good. Making it that way is also one more camera putting stress on the player's system, which I didn't want. Instead, I found this tutorial made by the developer, where he takes a screenshot of the map and then has a script that converts the real world 3D data of the player's location to the 2D map marker. This approach is definitely less hardware demanding and will look much better since I can take a high-res screenshot of the whole map and edit it in external software before using it in the game. After playing around with the map for a bit, this is how it ended up looking. Overall, I am pretty happy with how it turned out, and I made it rotate with the camera the same way the minimap does to avoid any directional confusion. I was feeling pretty good about the map and thought now would be a good time to add some sounds to the game. I thought it wouldn't take me longer than 2 to 3 hours, but in reality I spent the next 2 days trying to find decent free sounds that I could use and then editing them to make them fit whatever I needed them for, and finally adding them to the game with decent surround sound in a way that wouldn't feel weird to the player. I spent an especially long time trying to implement dynamic footsteps that would change depending on the surface that the player is stepping on. Regardless of all of that, I ended up pretty happy with the result. I definitely need to add more sounds in the future, and maybe some white background music, but for now I think this will do. Finally then, I'm going to shut up and let you watch this short clip of me walking around the map with the newly added sounds. The final thing I wanted to do is create an in-game chat. I wanted the chat to be there if players needed it, but I didn't want it to clog up screen space or take the player's concentration off of the game while using it. This meant it had to be quick and easy to open, but also be hidden when the player doesn't need it and there is nothing new happening in the chat. Surprisingly, it didn't take me that long to get a working prototype, and here is me sending chat messages across two clients. After I got the basics working, I worked a bit on the visuals and also a few of the chat. I created a chat animation that would hide it whenever the player doesn't want to see any messages, and I added multiple ways of bringing the chat out with different keybinds and also a dedicated UI chat button. Then I also added a small red dot to the chat icon that would appear when a new unread message has been received. The final feature I wanted the chat to have is commands. For now, I added only a help, leave and quit command, since my game doesn't need anything else at this stage, but in the future the list can be expanded. And I'll wrap this video here with this clip of the finished chat. As always, leave your suggestions for the future game changes and devlogs in the comment section, and I will be sure to check them out. But for now, I'm signing out. See you in the next one.